What is up, guys? You're tuning into this Okiru podcast. I'm your co-host, Jasper, and we thank you so much for spending this time with us. We hope you enjoy this episode. Make sure to follow us on our socials at Okiru on Instagram, Okiru on Facebook, Okiru on YouTube, and also Okiru on major platforms such as Spotify and Apple Music. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We hope you enjoy. Okiru. All right, man, Josh Culibao, we have him on the podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time. We really appreciate it. How's your weekend been, man?
It's been good, man. It's been actually really quite eventful. So hopefully we speak about it on this podcast. But yeah, it's been quite eventful, man.
Well, what have you been up to this weekend? Because we had a big weekend too. Like, we just came out of a Filipino pop-up, and it was just amazing to just be a part of that Filipino community.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Where was that at? Where was it?
I was at a Migrant Coffee in a small cafe in Footscray. So I was cool, just getting all these Filipinos crowding the area, crowding the streets. So it was mad to have.
That's sick. That's so cool.
It's all small businesses and stuff like that, right? Like small businesses coming together just to support each other.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Honestly, that's sick. You love to see that sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly. That's how Filipinos are. It's part of that community, right?
100%.
So tell us about your big weekend. You sound so super excited to share it. We'd love to hear it, man.
So the reason why I'm for the people that are listening in, that are gonna watch the video to this, but I just finished. It's Sunday morning. They had the UFC London card. Me and my brothers didn't watch it because we were going to catch up. So we all live apart from each other. So we hardly ever get to see each other. So we planned to let's catch up. We watch the UFC together, cook some food, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we didn't watch the UFC London because it was in the morning. So we avoid jumping on social media. We avoided, anybody talking about anything or seeing anything. So we just avoided it all. So we didn't know what the results were. And we just finished watching the UFC London card, which was a pretty epic card. It's a pretty crazy atmosphere watching that. And then for some reason, because during the week, I sent a video in to my brothers. Like, me and my brothers got a group chat, and I sent a video in of the UFC fighters doing this tortilla challenge. So the people that don't know what the tortilla challenge is basically you guys put a mouthful of water in your mouth, and you guys both grab a tortilla, and you guys do the scissors, paper, rock. The person that loses gets slapped by a tortilla. So, that was basically it. And so there's so much water spat all over the place. Man, but we weren't even playing when we got a chance to hit each other with these tortillas. My brother wasn't even doing it on a single fold. He was folding it over so it'd be sturdier, so it'd hit you like a punch. Now.
Oh damn! Oh
yeah, man.
So did you get all the wins, or did you get all the water in your face?
No. So it doesn't matter about getting the slap. It's more about if you spat the water out. So
okay.
I was winning in terms of I was slapping both my brothers, but I was losing because I was constantly spitting out the water because it was so funny me smacking the shit out of them.
Oh, man.
That's funny ass.
That's so funny, man. I think me and my missus were talking about it. It's if we do this tortilla challenge, I'm gonna make her cry because she probably won't handle the slap. She'll be like, "Oh, you'll probably slap me too soft, and I'll tell you to go harder." And then she'll probably cry because I went too hard. So
either way, you lose. Just don't play the game.
I've got the L, man. I've got the L. Oh man. So you watched the UFC today. How was it? What was the feelings going inside you? Were you eager to get back in the ring, or were you just excited to support all the fighters out there
on this last UFC card?
Yeah. Man,
it's just exciting to watch it. At the end of the day, people forget that I am also a fan of the UFC. I'm not just an athlete for the UFC. I've been watching this since I was 15 years old, 14 years old. So I've been a big fan of the UFC for a long time. And yeah, people forget that also, now that I'm in the UFC, that they forget that I'm also a fan of the UFC. So yeah, it was just good to watch those cards, and, it's exciting. It's entertainment. So it's awesome.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Sounds like it's a great chance to catch up with your brothers as well, your siblings, right?
Yeah. Yeah, always. Me and my brothers, we love fights. We always grew up in a household of so-called martial arts, but more so violence. Brotherly love, but they're called violence. So yeah, it's always good to catch up with them. Hardly ever get to see them, obviously, because of everyone's got their own lives, and it's I've got my own life, my brothers got their own lives, they got kids, so it's like it's hard to catch up. So when we do catch up, we always obviously make the most of it.
Yeah, definitely.
How about the rest of your family? Like, what's the relationship between and you being in the UFC these days? Everyone's like, "Oh no, don't hurt me, Josh." Family parties.
To be honest, I've never had any immediate family. I've never like grew up with any immediate family. All my immediate family that I have is back in the fields, and I only used to go there, once every year. So it was only for like a two-week stint. So I was never really close with immediate family, but the family that I have here, my brothers, they're like they as much as they're my brothers, they're also like my closest friends, my best friends. So we have that sort of relationship. Obviously, it was different when we were growing up. We obviously had our moments where we didn't see eye to eye, and like as Kuyas do, they always pick on the bunso. So it goes down the level of hierarchy, the oldest, the youngest. One beats the shit out of the other one beats the shit out of the youngest, beats all the bullshit at the end. So yeah.
I was the youngest. There you go.
I was the bunso. So it explains why I decided to be the one out of all of them to do fighting as a career choice, to be able to protect myself.
That's what I was actually curious about, whether like your other brothers do train as well, or is it just you?
Well, I'm the one that sort of took it to the next level, but yeah, my Kuya Justin, who's the second eldest, he actually was the one that started in Taekwondo and ended up forcing me and the second youngest, Joseph, to both do Taekwondo. And then that's sort of how it started the martial arts journey. And then so my Kuya Justin used to do Taekwondo, and then me and Joseph did MMA for a little bit. We did it for like a good 4 or 5 solid years, and then my brother decided to have the family life. So he's living the family life at the moment.
How was that like growing up, like with you guys all like learning different martial arts and different disciplines? Was there ever like, my discipline's better than yours, like let's battle?
It was never like that. It was more so like when me and Joseph were doing Taekwondo, we sort of seen like there was not much as it was for good for fitness and discipline and whatnot, but there was no real practicality for it. So and we sort of thought like doing these sort of katas and these sort of like patterns and stuff, it wasn't, as much as it looked nice, it wasn't applicable to everyday self-defense. And by that age, we were both already aware of what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was, because we've seen obviously the early UFCs of Hoist Gracie beating up these guys that were like 2 times the size of him, built like bodybuilders, and he was just a skinny dude, skinny lanky dude, and he was just beating these guys up without even throwing a single punch. So that's how it just evolved.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Nice.
So what was like the mindset transitioning from Taekwondo to the different disciplines? Did you feel any like, oh, I'm good at martial arts already, maybe I can like bring that in here and like be good? Or was it like, oh shit, they just fucked me up so quickly and it just humbled you?
It was the latter, bro. I definitely felt like I got humbled pretty quickly. I was a big kid growing up, and I was playing footy, so I was like pretty physical. I was a physical kid, and I thought like, oh, there's this 55 kilo guy, 55 kilo adult. I was like 90 something at the time, and I'm like, I'm gonna smash this dude. I played footy, I attack big guys, I'm used to dealing with bigger blokes. I'm gonna smash this dude. And me, 16 at the time, thinking that, and this 55 kilo dude ran circles around me and choked me out 5 times and more, probably 10 times in a span of 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So, and that really put a reality check on me. I was like, I'm not as tough as I think I am. So it was good.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And that humbling experience, right? It's like an ego check, as you're saying. And as I was looking you up, Josh, I saw that you what made your first UFC fight, but you had to go up a division, right? Weight division. What was that like in terms of, all right, fighting a heavier guy, but also a humbling experience potentially in the big leagues? How did that feel?
It's definitely, you know, it's like I at that stage I had never lost as a professional fighter. So I've never lost professionally. And, you know, I always thought that I'd go undefeated, you know, just, you know, fairy tale thinking. I always thought I'd go undefeated. But it was a massive wake up call, because I took that fight on short notice. It was upper weight division, and yeah, it really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I should be doing that I wasn't doing. So it was a very humbling experience, and really, you know, an eye opener to a lot of stuff that I should have been doing anyway, where I was sort of slacking off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how about training in terms of the discipline? Because I guess as everyday people, right, we're not fighters, but how do everyday people learn that fighter mentality, the killer mentality as well? Because it's that edge that helps you. It's that edge that helps you achieve and perform and be your best.
And I feel like everyone. I feel like a lot of people idolize fighters because we go into the cage and, you know, we fight. We fight against somebody else that's been preparing to fight us as well. But I've just realized it's the same with anybody. It doesn't have to be meaning that I'm getting ready to fight in a cage, but people battle a lot of different things in their life, you know, whether it's, you know, a relationship with their family, whether it's, you know, financially. A lot of people deal with a lot of shit and a lot of fighting their own battles, you know, and that really goes unseen, where, you know, I obviously get idolized because I'm getting ready and prepared and I'm pushing the limits to fight someone in a cage. But people that deal with everyday problems, you know, that's a full on thing. And I sort of felt like that when I didn't have any fights booked, because yeah, like my problems were always in front of me. I felt like I was always fighting some sort of problems, whether it was, again, like in a relationship, whether it was family, or whether it was like financially. There was always something that I was battling. But like when I had my mind focused on a fight, like all that sort of subsided. I was just focusing on the fight. But then I realized that like every day people are going through the same battles, like, but it's not idolized like how I am when I'm fighting.
Yeah. Definitely.
Beautiful perspective. So what does mental health mean for you then?
Massive, man. It's massive. I actually went through like a bit of a slump during lockdown. I feel like a lot of people did, because obviously, you know, my sport is my mixed martial arts, and I'm meant to be in a gym training every day and being, you know, like I said, getting ready to prepare for a fight. And then it gave me a massive again, another eye opener, where it was like, what is Josh Culibao without fighting? Who am I? Who do I identify as? And who am I as a person without me being the fighter that I am? What I love to do every day? Who am I? Like, so it was a lot of definitely an eye-opening, humbling. What else? Like, just put a lot of things into perspective that, like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not just Joshua Culibao, the fighter, you know, I'm also Joshua Culibao, the brother, you know, the partner, you know, friend to a lot of people. So it was a massive eye opener, because I did feel like I identified with fighting a bit too much, and then couldn't do what I wanted to do. It kind of put things into perspective. Like, what would have happened if I was to just stop fighting right now? Like, who would I be, or who would I identify as? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was my image. My image was like, oh, Josh Culibao. And everyone, all my mates, whoever would speak to me, they'd be like, oh, Josh, what's happened? Like, they haven't seen me. Like, oh, when's your next fight? Or like, you know, they talk about something to do with fighting. And imagine if that was me without having anything to do with about fighting. Like, who would I be? So and then this was during lockdown, and because obviously lockdown, there was nothing open. I couldn't fight, and it was definitely a tough time, not only for me, but obviously for a lot of people.
Have you always, you know, thought about being introspective in that way, or was it just in that time specifically that you just started to think who you were?
I'm just, to be honest, I'm just going through life. I don't think too deep into that stuff. But then, like, when it's so obviously, when it hits you, and you sort of have to like take a step back and realize that, like, you know, I'm not a kid anymore. I have to sort of, you know, I'm not the teenager that I think that I am, you know. And you start to look at things differently, and like, I'd never, to be honest, I would never be like, into that, like thinking too deep into that sort of stuff. But when it just hit me, and then I just sort of, had time to think about what I would be like. So
yeah, definitely. So how do you switch up from preparing for a fight, and then say after the fight's done, how do you switch up from the fighter to the brother, to the partner, to the friend? What do you do? What's that like?
Yeah, see, that's the really like, but people don't see, they only see the fight, and you go like, oh yes, he won, he must be so happy, he must be this and that. And it's like especially during the last fight that I had, it was like on such a big card. I had so much things going for me, going against me, going into that fight. I had a lot of pressure going into that fight, and and to pull it through and get the result that I wanted in the fashion that I did it. It was like, everyone expects me to be like so happy and over the moon, but to me it was it wasn't enough. Like, it felt like it wasn't enough. Like, onto the next thing, and that's what sort of brings me back down. Like, as quickly as I go up and feel like, yes, I'm on top of the world, the next day when I have to realize that, like, oh shit, this isn't over, you got to go back to the gym, you got to go back to this, it's like, what's next? It's like, it's not, it's that's what really humbles me, is that I know that the job isn't fully done. As much as it was a good performance or whatever it was, the job isn't done yet. So
the role of fighter is quite important though, because you're right, you do get idolized and envied and put on a pedestal. But what I see is you're representing like a third culture. So Australia, I see you with the Filipino flag on, and being an Australian born Filipino, like the other two boys are here, Jasper and Gerald, and myself, coming from an Australian Vietnamese background, right? But what does it mean to you to wear those two flags on the world stage and representing your kuyas and your ates?
It is massive, and it's a happy pressure that I'm willing to have on my back. You know what I mean? It's a pressure that I accept, because it's an honor to accept that sort of pressure, because my parents came from the Philippines, which a lot of Southeast Asian countries would know that it's like, it's hard. It's a hard, really hard thing to do, especially when you're coming from nothing to be able to bring, start a life over here and, build a family over here. That it's no easy task to do that. And, for my parents to do that, to give me the opportunity for me to, who knows what I would have wanted to do, but to give me a chance to do what I wanted to do. Like, there was no, just the opportunity to live here, I mean, that's big enough as it is. Like, for them to give me the chance to grow up in Australia is enough already, as like, that I want to be proud to be Filipino, because it showed the struggles that my parents had to go through, and to bring us here. As much as I am Australian, I'm proud to be Filipino, because I understand what my mom had to do to help us grow, to help us live here. My mom and my dad to help us, me and my brothers, to grow up here and gave us an opportunity to live whatever life we wanted to choose. Back home, imagine if there's only a few ways to really make money back there, and for them to even just bring us here, and the quality of life here, and the education and just everything here is obviously one of the best in the world, if anything. And, just them coming from Philippines, and then raising me here gave me that sort of pride to be like, to represent the Philippines, because that's where they were born, and that's where they're proud of being Filipino, to come to Australia to raise a family. But I am still also proud being a part of that, coming from that, you know what I mean? So it's a thing that I carry gladly on my back, to represent and like be able to show other Filipinos, whether it's in Australia or whether it's in the Philippines, like that if you really want something and you go out and chase it, like you go out and do it regardless of no excuses. So.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned in one of your podcasts that your dad said to you something like, he wants your name, the family name, to be leave a mark on the world. What's that like to do that?
Man, it's massive because yeah, it's a big thing. Imagine if your dad said that to you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I want you to leave our last name a nice lasting name, you know, behind. And you know, when people say that name, there's nothing but good things said about it. So it's like, I feel it's a nice thing to live by, to have that.
Does it push you further in your fighting? And you know, is it when you get in the ring, it's like, I have to leave that mark, and this is the way to do it through that win? Or
I feel like this is where me and a lot of fighters separate, is where I feel a lot of fighters go in there and they have like an external reason to win. Like, I'm doing it for this person because this person has cancer. I'm doing it for my mom, or I'm doing this. When I go in there, it's a pure selfish thing, and I'm gonna say it's selfish things. I do it because I love fighting. I love competing. I love fighting against guys that, you know, are at the highest level. That's what I love, and it has nothing to do with anyone else. It's literally all me, because it's strange. You can say all the stuff like, I'm doing it for this person. You can say all the right reasons you say you're doing it for, but when push comes to shove and you're on the grindstone, and you know it's do or die, you're doing it because of you. And if you're not doing it because of you, then you're gonna have yourself an out. You know, it gives you a reason to not pull through when you should pull through. You know what I mean? Yes. People always try and try to make it bigger than themselves, but it's at the end of the day, it's not bigger than themselves. Like, you either do it because you love it, or you do it and find a way out when shit gets tough. So yeah, like I'm not afraid to say that I do it because I love competing, and it's nothing to do with and all the plus sides of things of like, yes, I leave my last name, or yes, I gain this many people to follow me, or yes, I've gained, you know, some notoriety. Yes, I've won some money from this fight. At the end of the day, I love doing this because I love competing. I love fighting. That's it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think there's always that negative connotation with being selfish, but the truth is, in a way, all the things that we're doing, it's for us at the end of the day, right? And it's beautiful that you're brutally honest about that. And I think we should normalize being a bit more selfish about ourselves, because at the end of the day, we can only take care of ourselves, right?
Exactly.
And then by taking care of ourselves, we can help others.
That's
beautiful you saying that.
Yeah, I was actually saying this to one of my close friends. He's also a coach at Ego MMA, and I said, like, he's always gave out energy and always expended energy trying to help people, and it always left him run down. And I said to him, man, how do you expect to help these people when you're the one that's run down? Like, focus on yourself. When you're the best you is going to be the best for everyone. Like, if you're the best version of yourself, that's help everyone else. Like, instead of you bringing yourself down and draining yourself and trying to help everyone else, focus on you. And then it just comes full circle. When you focus on yourself, the energy that you vibrate, the energy that you give out, you know, it reciprocates, and then that helps everyone else. That makes sense. Like, I'm not too much of a spiritual person, but you know, that's what it feels like when you give yourself a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just give me one second. I'll turn on this light. Let's get a bit dark. And if anything, this is one of my queers that I slapped in the face.
Like, wait, how did it feel?
Another brother that I was also slapping in the face. Yeah. Oh, as you can tell, they both look like me.
Yeah. Hey, you say you're not a spiritual person, but I can see you're full of life, full of energy, and it feels like you're fully connected, right? So how do you help others? How do you get involved in the community? Do you get involved and help other Filipinos rise up?
What do you mean by I feel I seem connected? What do you mean by that, bro?
I don't know. It's just your energy from all the way here in Melbourne, right? You're just, like, so excitable. You're having a good time, and you're just being yourself, right? And for a lot of people, it's just like wearing a mask the whole time.
Man, I've always wanted this. This is actually one of the things that I want to be remembered as. So if like, you know, my kids, if they ever decide to check me out when I'm, you know, old and has been, and, you know, they're a bit older and what's going on, I want them to be able to look at me and see that no matter whatever I've been through, whatever I've gone through in life, the ups, the downs, you know, anything that's happened in my life, I want them to see me and be like, at the end of the day, he was always himself. He wasn't trying to put on a front. He wasn't trying to be this type of guy who he wasn't this type of guy. I want them to be like, you know, he was him from the day dot. Nothing changed who he was, whether it was bad, whether it was good. He was him. That was it. And I feel like that's a really underlooked, especially in this day and age where it is so easy to put on a front and say who you are on the internet, or say who you are. Like I feel like every day now, at this day and age, that everyone's, I feel like, is like trying to do an interview and they're trying to be the best version of themselves. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, that's not you. You can be yourself. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like that's one of the things I do want to leave behind in people saying the last name, is that when people say that last name, this is one of the things, one of the aspects I want them to look at, is that like, no matter whatever happened, he was himself. And I feel like that's a huge thing that's always made me feel like I don't have to put on a front. You either like me or you don't like me. Like that's up to you. It's not on me. I'm gonna be me regardless whether you like me or not. Like, so especially now that I'm sort of getting more attention due to the fights that I'm getting. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to be the same kid, the same fat Filipino kid that grew up wanting to do this for us. So it doesn't matter whatever anybody says. So
I'm actually curious from what you just said then, like at the end, what was it like for you as a kid? What were you like? Was it like fighting was always the dream, or
no,
were you a shy kid? Or
no way, it was never the dream. It was, look, combat sports was always a part of the household, but it was never a thing that I thought I would actually chase. Man, yeah, it was just I just so happened to stumble upon it. And, you know, I felt like, again, talking about identity, I felt like this was my identity. This was what I could associate with and what I enjoyed, you know, like deep down. Like, this is something that I really enjoyed. It wasn't something that I was doing just to say that I was doing it. It was something that I genuinely enjoyed, and I felt like it was a massive benefit for my life. And yeah, that's basically it. So me growing up, I was a piece of shit kid. You know what I mean? I was a bit of an asshole growing up, but then I sort of hit high school and I realized, like, man, like, can't be doing this anymore. Can't be, you know, being that kid, you know what I mean? So, and not only that, like, especially when you're a big fat Filipino kid, you know, people just think you're some cuddly brown kid, you know, smiley, happy. But yeah, I couldn't keep being a dickhead in high school. So I was like, got to change that up and realize who I really was, you know, instead of trying to, again, put on a front.
Were you getting into a lot of fights as a kid, like in high school and primary school and stuff like that, or?
No, to be honest, during primary school, like I said, I was like from that probably like kindergarten all the way to like year 7, year 8, I was fucking a rat bag, man. I was a proper rat bag. Like, but then the only thing that really changed me was like seeing my brother Joseph, the one that was just in there. He was like next level. Like, I thought I was bad, and then he just like doubled me up, and then I just felt like there's no point in me trying to be like that or anything. Like, you know, and I go, that's not me anyway. So I was like, he just sort of was like a real badass too, and I was just like, you know what, you can have it. I'm not even competing for being a badass anymore. You can have it, bro. So that was it.
So what was it like? You know, you said you were an electrician before, and then you were fighting in between that, and then you decided to go full time into fighting. What was that transition like? What did it take to make that decision? Look, I'm going to finally take this seriously and go full time in this.
Well, the getting signed to the UFC was the main, you know, the main reason for me to take this serious, and you know, I only get one shot at this, and that's how I was treating it. So yeah, I was fighting on the local circuit, at being an electrician, working 40-hour weeks. You know, it's obviously hard as a tradie, you know, a lot of hard work every day, and then at the end of the day still going to training and training, so, and preparing for fights and dieting and whatnot. But yeah, getting signed to the UFC was was the reason for me, for me going full time, because I knew that, you know, I had to treat this opportunity as a once in a lifetime thing, and this was a chance for me to really achieve the goals that I've set out.
How did it feel putting pen to paper and putting your name, the Culibao name, on that contract?
Man, it didn't feel real, to be honest. It felt, everything happened so quickly. It was a short notice fight. So I got that fight on 10 days notice. I signed the contract 10 days out, and I had, you know, like 12 kilos to lose in those 10 days.
Damn.
And I get ready for that fight, you know, and it was, everything just happened so quickly. And yeah, it was just full on. It just, everything happened so quick. I was part of the UFC fight media, all this stuff, all, you know, seeing other UFC fighters that I used to watch on TV as well. And yeah, it just all happened so quickly, and then it was over just like that. So it didn't even really sink in until I actually had my second fight. So
yeah. How do you prepare for your fights? Is it like, what kind of research do you do on your opponents to help, you know, make sure that you're fully ready when you get inside the ring or the octagon?
I don't do too much research on my opponents, because I feel like I'll go over the top with it. So I sort of leave that to my coaches, and then it's just basically just hard work, you know. Obviously there goes some game planning and strategy side to things, but yeah, other than that, it's just hard work. It is a daily grind. It's just one of those things. You wake up in the morning and you just, like, you know, throw the blanket off you and you just realize, like, fuck, the alarm's going off, and you're just like, man, I really don't want to do this. But then you just, like, you go and get it done. So yeah, it's you know, preparing for these fights is it takes it out of you, man. It definitely takes it out of you. You know, everything, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, everything, man. It takes it.
What's the hardest part about, like, being in the fight game?
Bro, you're Filipino. It's obviously the eating bit. Honestly, you already know. Like, you can't imagine you going to a Philo function or a Philo meeting, and you're standing there and you're watching all these guys grab pieces of chicken and grabbing rice and kanin and pansi and adobo, and you're just sitting there chewing on your salad, drinking water, while everyone else is having beers as well. Like, come on,
for sure. I was gonna say, like, the weight cutting part, but yeah.
That's definitely, like, hey, like I said, I love this. I don't mind the hard training. The hard training is a part of it, but then after the hard training, I want to go home and I want to be able to eat good, not come home and eat, you know, leaves. I don't want to eat leaves. That's what I don't want.
What's your favorite Filipino dish to eat?
There's too many. I like giniling, sinigang, adobo. Man, bro, I want to go back to the fields just so I can have mang inasal again, bro. Man, KFC, bro. I eat so much of every. I mean, I eat niggering. I eat ham, fried eggs, toyo, rice, langganisa. Oh, man, you guys make my mouth water thinking about this food.
I'm getting
Me too, man.
When I was in the Philippines, one of my favorite things was sisig, those sizzling plates.
Man. Not even, now you bringing in sisig too, bro.
Sisig with the beer, man.
Oh,
Sisig
man.
with the beer.
Yeah, some Red Horse or some, bro.
Yeah, Red Horse.
Some Red Horse, man.
Or San Miguel something, bro. Give me some of them.
Oh, man.
How do you connect with your fans in the Philippines? How do you connect with your fans in the Philippines? Because obviously you're representing, man.
Man, it's strange. I've only really got any real traction the last fight from the Filipino fans. And yeah, it's just basically through social media, man. They always hit me up and they've always got, you know, the best things to say. They're always like, Laban Kuya, Laban. You know, I get a lot of good messages from them too. And sometimes, like, I'm not able to read the Tagalog, so I'm gonna be like, man, I don't understand this shit. I gotta show it to one of my brothers and be like, I don't understand what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I can read bits and pieces, but like, I don't know what they're trying to talk. But I know they're all supporting me, man. And it's like I said, it's a proud thing. I get to wear that on my shoulders.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Look, man, it seems like you're getting so much love, and you bring so much love to everyone else, like with your vibes, man. I can see it from your big ass smile, like you just,
You guys
just
are
good energy.
you guys are just
Seriously.
crack ups, bro. You guys are just crack ups. I feel like you guys would be real good guys to, you know, be able to go out, get a good feed, get some beers, and let's go karaoke or something. I feel like you guys got a really good vibe about you guys. Like, yeah, fuck yeah.
Hey man, if you're ever down in Melbourne or if we're ever in Sydney, we're gonna hit it up, man.
Yeah,
We're gonna hit the
100%.
bars.
100%. You just gotta catch me out of a fight camp. In fight camp, what do you want me to do? Just sit there and watch you guys sing karaoke? Bunch of lassing, bro.
True, man.
It's all about resisting that temptation, man.
Oh,
I
bro,
don't know how
that's
you
the toughest,
do
man.
it, but
That's the toughest, bro. And it's not even like, fair enough, you can do it for one weekend, but when it's got to be like 8 to 10 weeks, when you know that you can't like go out, it's like, and everyone's partying and all your friends are like, come on, we'll go get some food, we'll get some beers. Man, I can't, right? Yeah. So it's that's tough. That's the toughest thing.
What was your first meal after the fight last time? Your latest fight?
KFC.
Yeah.
KFC, bro. It's a ritual, man. It is honestly a ritual, man. That's a given. Any chance I get my hands on KFC right after the fight, man, that's always been the ritual. Even back amateur days, that was the go-to, bro. We cook up some rice again, bro, and just buy a bucket of chicken and then just have toyo with rice and then whatever chicken we have, bro. It's a life.
It was always like KFC with rice.
People buy the chips. People buy chips. I'm like, why, man? You don't need to cook rice at home, bro. It's the same. Better.
oh man, better, man. And then you have the gravy on the rice, like Jollibee style, bro.
Have you been to the fields? They have unlimited gravy whenever you go there. They're like, yeah, just pump it out.
Yeah.
Gravy. All right.
It's dangerous.
It's not gravy anymore. It's soup, man.
The gravy becomes the sabao, 100%.
That's it, man. Oh,
Talking about Philippines, like, what does it feel like every time you go back? What's the feeling like?
Man, that's one of the things growing up that was like a massive motivator. That was definitely a massive motivator. Like, it was a massive eye opener. Coming, obviously, you know, I'm like, I would say I was about 8 or 9, and we'd go back to the Philippines, you know, and from where my family's from is obviously like real, you know, shanty town, rundown, you know, proper ghetto, Philo ghetto, and you know, we're there. We got nice clean clothes and we walk the streets, and there's like I don't know what is it called, the sewer or the e-log, we call it the e-log. And in the e-log, it's basically like just fucking disgusting. Like, it just basically piss, all the rubbish is in this damn river, and you'd see kids that are like 5 or 6 years old, like going down into the dam and picking up plastics to recycle to get money so they can eat that day. And me as a 9-year-old kid coming from Australia, seeing 5 or 6-year-olds do that, it's like, what do they do? I had to ask, man, what are they doing? You know what I mean? And then my uncle would explain it to me, and I'd be like, fucking hell. And I'm over here complaining about not getting the latest wrestling game or the latest NBA 2K game. You know what I mean? And they're recycling plastics while I'm, you know, complaining about dumb shit.
It's the first world problems, isn't it? And I learned about a concept, and it's called the birth lottery. So we don't choose where we're born at all, but I guess all of us being born in Australia, it's winning the lottery.
Yeah, man.
And having our parents come from, I guess, third world countries, you can call it, and risking it all. Like, my parents were boat people, and my mum went to jail twice trying to escape Vietnam during the war or after the war. And being born here, I've got this little book. We all share this book. It says Australia on it, and it lets us travel bloody nearly every country in the world, like without a visa.
I know.
Right? It's bloody beautiful that, I guess, we're here, we're sitting, we're chatting in the safety of, I guess, our own homes as well.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is that's the reason why I hold being Filipino so proud, because it's it's not an easy feat. And you know, I know my parents wouldn't not want me to represent the Philippines, even though I was born here. As much as they would want me to represent Australia, they obviously, you know, they are also proud Filipinos, and that's where they came from. That struggle, that hard work mentality, you know, and you know, I feel like they've passed that down to us, is that hard work mentality. So yeah, it's definitely, it makes me definitely feel grateful to be where I am, you know, not only for me, but also for my brothers in that.
Yeah.
So you're feeling a lot of gratitude, right? How would you plan to give back to the people who have helped you, or give back to others without, I guess, expectation?
Yeah, it's well, like the one way that I have been, like, which was today actually, is I went and did reffing. I was reffing these amateur MMA today, which was like an amateur MMA league where it's a very novice league where there's no, like, the certain rule set is basically it's basically just a sparring session with no headshots, and it's like basically for newbies to be able to learn to be able to experience what it is to compete in MMA, you know, in a very safety netted kind of rule set. So that's what I was doing, and not only that, like, you know, I teach kids classes as well, and I teach, you know, obviously guys guys lower than me. I teach a lot of guys want to be in the sort of same position that I'm in, and you know, that's how I feel like I give back to the people, is, you know, I give them the knowledge that I've learned through the years and try to pass that down.
Yeah.
You become better once you teach it as well, right? You're able to articulate the concepts and philosophies.
I was actually explaining this to one of the students before, is that, like, he came up to me after class and he goes, "Josh, how do you think about all these techniques and stuff?" And then it's like a cycle. It's like you like learn new things, and then you like go full cycle. You're like, "Oh shit, I learned that one. Oh yeah, I learned that one." Then you go around and you're like, "Oh, I forgot about this next technique." And just go like in a full cycle. And not only that, is that when they ask me why I'm doing a certain thing, you can't just say, "Oh, because it's always been done that way." You know, there has to be a reasoning to why you're doing it. And it makes you think, understand the technique on why you're doing it, or, you know, what's the reasoning behind it. Because you obviously, like I said, you can't just say it's been done that way forever, so we're just going to do it and not question it. So so when new students ask me, "Oh, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that?" And you kind of take a seat back and be like, why am I actually doing this? Why am I doing that? So yeah, it's you definitely understand the martial arts a bit better when you're on the other end of not just only learning it from my own coach, but also teaching it to other students as well.
And how about the philosophy of martial arts, right? But being so strong, but also the concept of the warrior in the garden. How does that relate to you? I see the smile on your face as you heard it.
It's good, because I feel I already said it before, is that, you know, when I first started, I was a big kid and I thought, like, "Oh, I'm gonna smash this dude," right? It really humbled me and showed me that I'm not as tough as I am, that I thought I was. But then also on the other end, you know, being through what I've been through, it also shows you that you're not as fragile as you think you are as well. And it's one of those things that, like, if you really, really know yourself and know what you're capable of, why do you have to, you know, puff up your chest and try to prove that you're better than someone? You know, it's like, that's what I feel, that whole, you know, garden, what is it? Warrior in a garden.
War in a garden,
a gardener in a war. So yeah, it's like you understand yourself better when you go through the, you know, the trials that you go through, and you understand that, you know, you're not as tough as you think you are at the beginning, and then you're not as fragile as you think you are. You don't think, "Oh, I'm just gonna break. I'm soft. You know, I've got no perseverance. I'm gonna break." So it shows as well.
So lockdown was a tough time for everybody, and as we were isolated, it's looking within and not having the distractions. And it sounded like you had a tough time as you lost your fight and you lost that ego part of you, and then you lost the fighter. But what have you learned since then, and how do you pick yourself up time after time if you're having a shit situation?
Man, I feel like it's for me, the best way I've always looked at it was like to have a goldfish mindset, where like not so much, yeah, like a goldfish mindset, but also like a roller coaster mindset, where like you know, whenever things are going good, you know, don't be up here. When things are going bad, don't be down here. You know, always stay on that level path where yes, something really good happened to me. Don't need to be up here and be, you know, crazy. Or like where if something bad was happening, I can't be in the dumps and stay here in the dumps. You know, it's always trying to maintain, like, yes, you're going to have your little dips, but try to like maintain how you really feel. And, you know, and that kind of goes back to the goldfish mindset, where like, if something good happens to me, okay, it happened to me. It's good. Yeah. That's in the past. Next. Oh shit, something bad happened to me. Oh shit, that's in the past. What's next? You know, and so that's one of the things that like I learned through my coach, who is a very, very wise man, and a guy that I'm looked up to, and you know, looked up as a mentor for a very, very long time.
So what I hear there is just maintaining neutrality in situations as they come, and being so present in the moment that you're just open and not so reactive to a high, or not reacting much to a bottom.
That's it. It's exactly that. Because like, you know, if you're up here, you know, it's yes, I'm the best, and then any slight inconvenience, you know, you're down here, then you know, your life's gonna be all over the place. You know, it's best to like have that maintain that, like, yes, anything bad happens to me, okay, it is what it is. It's in the past. Anything good that's happened to me, yes, you can celebrate, yes, but that's also in the past. Don't dwell on it. Don't be like, yes, that's who I am. I'm the best. That happened to me. Just keep going. Just keep doing. Keep riding that roller coaster and being you. You know what I mean? And just keep going. That's it. Like, you can't dwell on all the bad stuff that's happened to you, and you can't also sit on king shit on the throne thinking that just because you want a good thing that you can sit on that. You know, you can sit on that for the rest of your life. Like, it's always about that constant battle, and having that mentality of knowing that there's always something next. There's always something next. There's always something, like, kind of, you know, makes me switched on and be able to focus, you know. So yeah, that the mentality of having that goldfish mentality, but also that roller coaster person, like, yeah, you know what I mean? That roller coaster.
Yeah.
Easier said than done though. But how do you practice this? How do you, do you have any things that you do, like meditation?
It's hard because, like I was just saying, that with my fight, you know, there was a lot of things, you know, a lot of things going on behind the scenes to get ready for that fight, and a lot of bad stuff happened. Like, I won't say, but a lot of shit was happening before that fight, while I was getting ready for the fight. And so not many people know, but that fight was actually my last fight on my contract for the UFC. So this was my last fight for the UFC. Technically, it was my last fight for the UFC. And I was going in there with 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 draw. So it wasn't a very, very good record, you know, for a 4-fight deal. 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss. And I knew the guy that I was fighting was very good. And I understood that he's a really good prospect. And I understood what he could do to me, like the amount of damage he could do to me. And I understood that the pressure of the last contract, I understood that, you know, if I didn't perform or if I didn't win, that could be Josh Culibao, the UFC fighter, no more. Josh Culibao. Yeah. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of pressure on me going into that fight. And I expected to win. Don't get me wrong, I expected that all the good stuff to happen. But I kind of put the expectation on feeling a certain way after I fought. And because I didn't get that feeling again, because I expected that I'd be up here. You know what I mean? Feeling like, oh my God, I did everything that I said I was going to do. Did it even better than what I thought. And because I didn't feel like that, it made me feel down here. You know what I mean? That's why, yeah. That's what it sort of got me down to.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm curious to know, like, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead. No, you can continue.
Go, boys, come on.
Don't be shy. Don't shy.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, so before the fight, there was obviously, like, there's a lot of noise happening around, especially with this fight. You know, it was going to be a challenging one, and there's, you know, the odds. People are saying, like, you know, this guy's going to be, you know, the favorite or whatever. What was it like? Did you like in terms of before the fight, hearing all like, do you hear all this noise that's coming at you? Like,
Of course, I see all that stuff. I see all the comments that they put down, and I see all that stuff, But what the fuck do they know? What the fuck do they know? They're not the ones in my shoes doing what I have to do, So I was, as much as there was a lot of bad shit going on, I knew how much work I put in. I knew how much time and effort, and how many other people put their time and effort into me. So I knew that going into that fight, I was going to be ready regardless. And whether I was to win or lose, I knew that I gave it my all. So either way, I knew I gave it my all. So there was no shame in losing in that.
Yeah, definitely. Look, Josh, I just want to be mindful of time, and I don't want to take too much time out of your Sunday. Guys, if you have any other questions that you wanted to ask, let's shoot it off, or we can go and let Josh enjoy his Sunday and get that break in.
Last one from
I'm good.
Yeah, last one.
You're talking about your coach, how he's a wise man. What have you learned from him, and what could the world benefit from his teachings that you could maybe pass on?
Man, he's taught me a lot of stuff. So my coach, Igor Breckenbach, he was actually, so my father passed away in 2013, and I joined his gym at the end of 2013. And I've been with him for how long now? Nearly 9 years now, pushing 9 years now. Yeah. And like, he's definitely taken not only the role as a coach, or like, somebody as a teacher, but he's also taken that role as like a father figure, a guy that I could look up to, and not just look up to him for the things that he says to me, but the things that he does. And he's he's just to be honest, he's just a guy that he lives life the right way, how it should be. Like he does what he says he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's a very old-fashioned man, where he'd like, if me and you were to like say, okay, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to shake your hand, and that's all he needed. He didn't need nobody to sign no contract. He didn't need anybody to get this on film. He'd be like, I'd shake your hand and I'm going to do it the next day. Whatever you said, I've said I'm going to do it for you, I'm going to do it for you. And that was him. He has that very old school mentality. And that's actually one of the teachings there, is that like, back in his day, he used to teach me that like, there was no like, text you and be like, oh, hey, we're going to hit up the gym. It's like, if you tell me you're going to hit up the gym at that time, I'm going to meet you at the gym at that time. You tell me to meet me here, I'm going to be there. Like I said, you know what I mean? So he was a very, he lives life, honestly, like a proper, like the Bushido way, like a full on proper samurai way. But man, I've learned too much stuff. He's been such a massive, he's been such a massive father figure for me since I've been, 19, 20, still a young adult at that stage. So I was doing a lot of learning through him. And he's definitely a massive part of this success. And to be honest, I probably would have made the UFC, but I wouldn't have made the UFC the way I have made it to the UFC. So he's a very special individual in my life.
That's beautiful, man. And it's always good to live with an impeccable word, right? To honor your word, no matter what it is.
It's you're only as good as your word. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can say all that you want to say, but then actions speak louder.
100%.
Speak louder.
Definitely. So, Josh, we'd love to end the podcast with our 3 questions. So we'll go with the first question. What are you grateful for?
Man, what isn't there to be grateful for, man? I'm grateful to, have, live in a beautiful country, got a beautiful girlfriend, got my brothers around, got my friends around, people that care about me. I got my team around, grateful for the UFC, grateful to be on this podcast. Like,
we're grateful for you.
Like all of it. Never in my days would I think I'd just be jumping on a random podcast because people want to on a podcast, you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for a lot of things. And I'm just grateful to be alive right now, living life.
That's beautiful, man. Second question, what have you realized?
what have I realized?
Yeah.
Man, shit comes and goes, man.
Mhm.
Shit
Yeah.
comes and goes. Like nothing is
does.
forever. So take it as it is now. You know, shit doesn't last forever. So enjoy it while it lasts, you know, and yeah, take in every moment. Be present.
Exactly. Definitely. And final question, what question is a question you ask yourself?
What is the question?
Mm.
These are some real deep.
Hey man, look, we had this question board in the market we had yesterday, and we just had a beautiful bunch of thoughts on there. And this question was one of the most difficult questions to ask. I remember asking someone, "What would you answer this question?" It's like, I really don't know. And
Man.
yeah, it's a difficult question.
What question do you always ask yourself? Man, to be honest, one of them that I always do ask myself is like, why do I do this shit? You know, I wake up in the morning, I'm sore. I don't want to train. I don't need to do any of this. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't need to do this stuff. And I'm just like, well, you could have been an electrician. Why didn't you be like, and then it makes me think like, why am I doing this? I ask, why do I really do this? You know, so that's probably one of the biggest things. Why my reason why do I really want to do this? Like, it is hard. Why do I do it? And the only thing that I could ever really come down to once I like thought about it like really deeply was I love it. Like, there's no external reason. I'm not doing it for anybody else. Like I said, I'm not doing it for the fame. I'm not doing it for the money. I do it because I genuinely love it, and it's a part of my life. And there was actually a TikTok or a reel on Instagram that I seen. One of the Paul brothers, I think it was Logan Paul. He was talking to Arnie, and he goes, "Arnie, why do you still go to the gym? You're this old." And he goes, "Why do we eat breakfast every morning? Why do we sleep every night?" And he goes, "It's because it's a part of me." And
that's great.
Martial arts is a part of me, and I feel like it's a part of me until the day that I, till I creep, until I'm gone. I feel like till the day that I'm gone, like I'm gonna be doing some form of martial arts, whether it's, when I'm sitting on the mats with my cane, yelling at young kids,
the grandmaster.
That's all wise, got a long ass beard. Hey, stop, wrong, slapping him, slapping him with the cane. Yeah, I feel like my life is gonna be like that. So that was my biggest thing. So why do I want to do it? Because I love it. At the end of the day, I love it.
Amazing.
Man, Josh, it's been an incredible conversation with you, and dude, you're a fucking phenomenal person, and we can't wait to see more of your fighting. And look, man, thank you for spending this time with us on this Sunday evening, and taking time away from your brothers and your family. So we really appreciate it.
Oh good, my bro. Oh my god, we already watched the UFC already. Did I? They got their time now.
Oh man, that's awesome. Look, man, we'd love to keep in touch with you, and hopefully we can have that time. Let's go out for karaoke and some beers, man.
Let's catch up in person. If I'm ever in Melbourne or you guys are ever in Sydney, boys, you guys just hit me up, man. You know where I'm at. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll do it. All right. Thanks, Josh. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your night, man.
Cheers. Thank you, boys. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
100%. We appreciate you. All right. See you, Josh. Peace.
Okiru.